Hey there, welcome to the Star Wars Underworld. My name is Hannah, and today we are joined by a very special guest. It is the wonderful Misty Rosas. Hello, Misty. How are you today?
Hello. I am really well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm
This
excited
is
to be with everyone here for this fun interview.
this is gonna be amazing. It's gonna be a great conversation. I'm
Yeah.
ready to get all the answers from you, learn what it's like to be in the world of Star Wars from your point of view. It's going to be fantastic. So, before we get into the juicy Star Wars questions that we all want to hear, let's get to know you a little bit and let's hear about what was your starting point and, let's say, inspiration becoming an actor and becoming a creative artist.
Gosh, my starting point, like the very beginning for
Yeah.
me was gymnastics.
Yeah, right.
Took my first gymnastics class when I was 2.
Mm.
And, you know, even though that is a different type of performance, it's still very much
Yeah.
on stage.
Yeah, yeah.
You're performing in front of a lot of people. So gymnastics was first, but all the while training as a gymnast, my mom also put me in dance class, and
Mm.
I have loved singing since forever. My parents are a huge, you know, inspiration as far as listening to music, and they loved movies, so we would watch movies, together all of the time. So I had a lot of inspiration from family, um, as well as being a very busy child. And again,
Mm.
I was definitely ruining their furniture because I was jumping on the bed, jumping on the couch, and hanging on things. And so,
Yeah.
like, we need to put this child in something physical. So,
Get that
my
energy
older
out, yeah.
brother, yeah, my brother's like, "Why don't you put her in a gymnastics class?" And that was it for me. That was the beginning.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, that's amazing, and, all of that makes so much sense to, where you are today, and you can see all those, little sparks of inspiration coming to fruition now. That's amazing, and, you know, from that starting point to getting up to speed in terms of the Star Wars timeline, uh, your first call and, that phone call or email that you're gonna be in Star Wars, you're gonna be in The Mandalorian, uh, you know, we're going back a few years ago now, but what was your initial reaction that first call? You're in Star Wars, you're gonna be in this show. What was your reaction to that news?
my reaction to the news was instant. It was happy tears, the sigh of relief in a way, because at that time in my life, I had been hustling really hard as an artist, a
Mm,
music artist, a dancer, auditioning as an actor too. And it was a point of equal parts exhilaration and stress,
mm,
going for the things that I love the most and using pretty much every dollar I've ever made. So right before this moment, um, I was learning how to live with, you know, the mantra every day is I have enough for this day. And that's how
yeah.
I was going about my life. And I was
Wow.
making my way to to train. And my agent called and she's like, "Hey, where are you?" I was like, "I'm driving." She's like, "Okay, you need to pull over. I have something for you. I'm sending it over now." And she didn't tell me what it was. So I'm like by myself in, just pulled over on the side of the street in my car. And, she
Wow.
sent me my deal memo. And I was like, it's for the job that we've been waiting on to hear
Mm.
if I'm going to do this or not. And so I'm kind of reading it, and then I scroll down to the end and I see Star Wars and Lucasfilm, and again, it's just like, I have
Mm.
goosebumps. I was like, oh my god, oh my god. So
Wow. Surreal,
tears and
surreal. Yeah.
exhilarating. Yeah.
Absolutely, and kind of, on the back of that, was Was Star Wars ever on your bucket list of jobs to be a part of or projects to be a part of?
Yes, I was a young kid when I saw The Empire Strikes Back with my little brothers. We just loved it, and I watched Luke Skywalker being trained by Yoda, who was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Um, and he was
Yeah.
training him and doing handstands and one arm handstands and front tucks. And I think I said it out loud. I was like, I could be a Jedi, because I he's
Yeah.
doing gymnastics.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
so I think the seed was planted uh, very early in my childhood, and it has
Mm,
been just kind of I've been navigating through my life as a creative, as an athlete, as an artist, to find myself in this moment, to be ready
mm.
to embody the characters that I, get to create. And with superstar actors like Nick
Yeah.
Nolte and Dee Bradley Baker, and legacy effects, and um it's a dream come true.
That's amazing. It's such a that's just such a beautiful journey, like that seed from such a young age to being a part of it, just surreal, surreal. Well, let's talk about those characters that we all so love, and let's talk about Kuiil first, who became such a fan favorite just instantly. We all wanted to know more about Kuiil. We all loved the way he spoke. What a great character. So tell us about your relationship with, his character and what it was like to bring him to life, physically with his movement and your relationship with that.
Oh, my relationship with Queel, uh it was this instant affinity, even when I was in the waiting room at Seraphin Casting, waiting to audition for this character that I knew nothing about. I didn't know his name. I didn't know I was
Mm.
auditioning for Star Wars, but I sat there and, they handed me my script after, signing my NDA and saying,
Yes,
we
of
will
course.
not
Yeah,
share
yeah.
anything about this. Like, you
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
and I always, when I get it a script, I just read it through to just read it and see what this is about.
Mm,
And after I read it through the first time, read the scene, I like sat back, and again it was that moment, just like it was when I saw Luke Skywalker training with
mm.
Yoda, that I know this character. I know him from a lifetime of work. I know him from my karma job, which is teaching yoga. Um,
Mm,
I've discovered yoga, in 2001 from my first yoga, you know, uh, that first moment of practicing. I never stopped. And then I became certified as a teacher in 2006, and I've been teaching ever
yeah,
since.
wow.
And so he is a combination of not only my skill set as an artist and suit performance, acting class, my life experience, which has been a roller coaster like every artist in this town,
Mm,
but also my experience, which I would never have thought in a million years, but my experience as a teacher, because
mm,
in so many ways, he and
yeah,
Mando cross paths, and he is a teacher to him,
mm,
and teaching him a lot about uh, compassion, selflessness, and that there are people out there that are willing to give of themselves without expecting anything in return. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely, and he is so known for that beautiful manner and character, and compassion is such a great word for him, I think, because he really does show that to Mando, and I think that's why he is such a fan favorite. He just had that presence. He just had that presence about him, and a lot of presence comes from the movement and the physicality of someone, how they stand, how they walk, how they move. So my next question is kind of talking about your process with the physical aspect of what you bring to Kuiil specifically. There's a lot of costuming. Obviously, we've all seen the wonderful photos, videos, the behind the scenes of you getting into the whole costuming of what he is. How was that to be a performer but be fully suited up and you can't see any of yourself and you're totally someone else, and work on his movement, how he walks, and how you hold him?
Mhm. As far as my process with Queel, it's a lot of things. You know, having quick little moments with legacy effects because they were building and, really on a tight schedule as well to get this
Mm.
finished and looking great. Because it is such a joint effort between so many people.
Mm.
Um, at first, going in, and when I finally was able to put everything on, I realized that I needed to up my training with more weight on my body, more squats,
Yes. Yeah.
cardiovascular work. Um, because the build for that animatronic head is unique. I've never worn a head like that before, where because those are my eyes with Solero contacts.
Yeah.
He His face was so close to my face, and so I would start to breathe back in my CO2, and so it's like, "Whew,
Oh,
okay." Like, so I
yeah.
like and immediately, just even my physical training, I shifted it when I realized
Mm,
it's like, "Okay, this is, gonna be challenging," but I'm
mm,
grateful for the weight too, and the fact that, once I go in, I have to be so, hyper aware and focused on just what I'm doing and conserving my energy between takes.
mm,
But the physical weight of him helped me as well, kind of drop in um, to the way that he moves, which is a little bit slower. Uh,
mm.
yeah, I tore my right calf muscle on a different job way back, so I took, that sensation of what that felt like too, and made, my right leg a little more stiff, and used
Oh,
that little bit.
wow, yeah.
So yeah, because he's been through a
Yeah.
lot, um, and so I
Mm.
wanted to then bring some physical aspects to what that would be and feel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
yeah.
As you're saying that, I can picture the way he walks, and he does have that kind of a hobble, little sway, little kind of meandering way he does walk.
Yep.
That makes so much sense. That is brilliant. I love that so much. That's so fantastic. And yeah, he is such a fan favorite, and his movement is just it's just so unique. I really do think there's so much that you brought to his movement that really made his character so likable and fascinating. And yeah, he's been through some stuff. You can tell he's been through the wars a little bit. Oh, I love it. I love it.
It's
The other character that we have to talk about today, the wonderful, wonderful frog lady. Speaking of movement and great costuming, she's another just fascinating character. We don't know nearly enough about her. So,
mhm,
obviously, these are two different aliens, two different characters, two different shapes. Uh, Let's stay on the movement. I'm fascinated by how you bring their movement to life and these characters to life, with their movement. What was the difference with playing Frog Lady to Quill and bring her to life?
okay. The difference between the two of them, obviously, right away is Kuiil is a male character,
Mm,
and Frog Lady is a female character. And I've been fortunate to get to work with the Jim Henson Company a lot, and swapping back and forth between a female character and a male character, and you know I look at the physicality of of people. I've watched men walk, just even their skeletal system and where they hold their weight versus a
Mm,
woman, me, which I know, for me especially as a gymnast and a dancer, my feet are more turned out.
mm,
So where I put my body weight, and especially for Frog Lady, I turned her feet way out and I pulled, my shoulders back more. And yeah, it's from just even creating and making those shifts in my own body, uh, it changes how I move. And then her hands were really beautiful. Legacy Effects did such a,
yes.
a phenomenal job on just the sculpt of her hands. I made sure that, every once in a while she had little moments where those were, a featured element of, the whole of her.
Mm,
So, um, yeah, I've been doing this type of work for quite a while, so I'm a pretty quick study with finding little things here and there to
mm,
make them believable. Like especially Kuiil, the first time you see him in his homestead with Mando, he had taken off his little hat, and I made sure I kind of scratched his head. I mean, and that's not my head.
yes,
But
yeah.
it's like just to give these little bits and pieces of embodying the whole of this character.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow. We listen to a master at work right now. This is so awesome. This is amazing. So, working on this project and becoming these characters, telling these stories in the Star Wars universe, The Mandalorian was quite unique in being the first live action TV show. When you were on the set of season 1, did you really quite tell the kind of cultural phenomenon that it was gonna become and the popularity that it was gonna hit? Because, yeah, when season 1 hit, everyone was talking about it. Everyone that didn't even like Star Wars or knew Star Wars was talking about it. It was amazing, and Kuiil was such a big part of that story of season 1. Did you know that as you were filming and creating the production?
What I know for sure is, the feeling I got when just being in my room and Lucasfilm had sent my scripts over and I was reading chapter 1, and as
Mm,
a fan of Star Wars, thinking to myself, "Oh, this is really good." And then getting to know the character that I was going to help bring to life, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is
mm,
so good." And
yeah,
then
yeah,
reading chapter 7 and just as a fan alone of the whole of this story, like I literally, when I got to the end of that chapter, I just put my script down and I was just like burst into tears for so many reasons.
wow,
It's like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, I have a very short time to honor this character and give him everything I've got,
mm,
so that he's memorable, because he had such an important role to play,
mm,
to help Mando along his journey. I can say that when I was at Legacy Effects and I turned the corner and I saw this teeny tiny, at the time, obviously he didn't have a name, but a baby Yoda, I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, I couldn't wait.
yeah,
So excited for his reveal, which again was just beautifully shot. And it's like,
yeah.
oh my god, and oh my goodness, like it felt and heard around the world.
Mm,
I just, getting to be a part of it with all of the cast and crew on set too, there was a lot of love and a lot of passion, talent, all of these creatives that kind of came together and, created this together. I
mm,
knew it was special. You never know how it'll resonate with people, but the story um was beautiful, and Grogu.
yeah, right, enough said. Grogu, full stop, come on,
Yeah.
come on.
So, yeah, I was
Yeah,
excited. I was anxious and nervous. I didn't know how, uh, Kuiil would be, you know, whether would people would I didn't know how they would react to him. So
Mm.
I was very anxious before the premiere, but I was sitting in the audience with my roommate. He was next to me, and the first time he's like, I've spoken. And, you heard the laughter in the audience and
Yes.
people seeing it for the first time. It's like, "Phew, okay." They
Like, it's gonna work out. It's good. Oh, brilliant. That is so fascinating. That's so fantastic to hear. A lot of love, a lot of love. And yeah, the fans definitely reciprocate that as well. I want to end on this question. And I have thought about this question at length, Misty. I want to pose to you. I have done the research all online and I cannot find anywhere that if the frog lady has a name, has a real name. I can't find it anywhere. It might be in some comic or something else I haven't found yet. But speaking totally hypothetically and totally just with creativity and imagination, if you could name Frog Lady, if you could give her any name you would want, what would you name Frog Lady?
Well, actually, on Twitter, um, there's a fan. He's a dad and he has a little girl,
Mm,
that watches The Mandalorian with him, and they're watching Frog Lady's chapters, and she too was just fascinated by this kind of cute alien that's sweet, but also is able to hold her own too. And
mm.
she just stood up and decided and exclaimed that her name is Lily. And I just thought it
Lily.
was so sweet. And I was like, I can't, it
Oh,
has,
wow.
it's like, yeah. So
That's just
it's
that's
unofficial,
perfect.
but
Yeah,
everybody on
unofficial.
Twitter was like, I like Lily. And it's like, me too. So
That's beautiful. She absolutely looks like a lily. I don't know how an alien could look like a lily, but she does. I get it. I get it.
I think it's a combination of her beautiful, like, pink and purple.
Yeah, the color. Yeah, the color or something. That fits so perfectly. Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, this has been such a learning conversation for me. This has been so fantastic to hear your experience of bringing these characters to life. Thank you so much for talking today. And I have spoken.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed sharing, more about my experience with this whole journey. And if I may say, may the force be with you always.
Always.